Good morning, brand DIYers. It is Mark here on a blustery Monday morning in Victoria. Let me just adjust my camera here a little bit. Hold on now. There we go. It's a blustery Monday morning here in Victoria, and I just got off the phone with one of my clients, and that is the inspiration for today's talk. This client has a very unique product that they sell to large companies around North America. And what they've been doing up to this point is innovating the actual product, creating better products, more diverse products, products for different applications that these large companies can buy. And they hired me to do research to figure out what these large companies are actually looking for. Oops, sorry, my hair you can see is a result of the blustery weather out there. They hired me to figure out what these big companies were actually looking for, what kind of innovation they were looking for. And it was funny because what came out was that it wasn't so much the product, it was the business model where we could find advantage. And that sort of set me off because I thought, well, that is so exciting. Can you imagine if all the things that you're competing on, the brand advantages, the product advantages, the service advantages that you're competing on, imagine if you discovered that customers didn't give a hoot about that stuff because they kind of thought all of you were all the same. So it was time to sweep all that aside and focus on something completely different. Now, I want to show you this book here. It's called Microcultures, written by a friend of mine, Jason Partridge. And I promised Jason that I was going to do a review on his book, 6 months ago. I haven't yet. However, I just opened the book, and as always happens, serendipity intervenes, and I came on this. David Foster Wallace, famous literary cult hero, was addressing the graduating class at Kenyon College a short time before he died. And he began the talk with a parable. This is the parable. There are these two young fish swimming along, and they happen to meet an older fish swimming the other way, who nods at them saying, "Good morning, boys. How's the water?" And the two young fish swim on for a bit, and then eventually one of them looks over at the other and says, "What's water?" And there you go. Now, what David Foster Wallace said was, this isn't a matter of being a smart businessman, figuring out what water is, figuring out that the stuff that you're swimming in isn't actually to be taken for granted. What this is, it's a question of awareness. And awareness involves often being able to step outside your jar. We talk about the jar a lot here. And taking a look around and going, what do people actually want? And this is what sort of with my client, what came to me because I was hired to do research, and I just started talking to people and looking around, and we started digging and saw that, in fact, folks weren't looking for a better mousetrap. They were looking for a better way to buy a mousetrap. Now, think of some awesome examples, and I want to pay tribute right now to Tony Hsieh, the founder of Zappos, who tragically passed away way too early, way before his time, just a few days ago. And this is a gentleman who created Zappos as a very different way of selling shoes. It wasn't all about selection or materials. It was about being able to send shoes to people. First person ever to do that. Send shoes to people in an effective way so that they could try them on, send them back. Warby Parker. It wasn't about creating better frames, even though their frames are awesome. It was about figuring out how to have people try the frames on and select the ones they like and send the other ones back. You look at companies like Nordstrom's. Nordstrom's, if you haven't read the Nordstrom story, very inspiring story. Long story short is though, used to be that in department stores, The advantage was selection. You could get everything you wanted all in one place, the precursor of Amazon. Nordstrom, however, decided to stand apart and base its advantage on service. And the service at Nordstrom was legendary. In fact, there are stories about people buying a suit at Nordstrom and the tailor or one of the salespeople actually jumping on a plane with the tailored suit and bringing it to them so that they could have that suit for an important engagement. Crazy, insane levels of service that made Nordstrom famous. Now, there's another one which I love to talk about, which is razor blades. And I actually worked in this business for a short while, and I know what it was like because it was number of blades, vibrating blades, blades that created a little bit of foam or slickness when you shaved, you didn't burn yourself. That was the only field of innovation. Hey, strong recommendation. Let My People Go Surfing, the Patagonia story, Hilton Barbour. Yes, I have that book. Yes, I have it right here somewhere. It's kicking around. Let My People Go Surfing. Excellent example of innovating in a different direction. Let me finish though. Jesus, Hilton, let me finish. So what happened was the guys at Dollar Shave Club and at Harry's said, you know what? You add another blade to a razor blade, ain't gonna make a hoot of difference. Nobody cares. What people want is a more convenient way to buy razor blades. And so both of them found excellent razor blades at a fraction of the price that companies that Gillette was charging, and they made it a subscription service. So shaving as a service as opposed to shaving as an item that you purchased, like razors as something that you purchased. It became a monthly subscription. Huge success. So what is there to learn in all of this? Well, let's go. Hilton blowing me kisses. I don't even know if I should be worried by that. I think it's my ruggedly good looks and this crazy hair. But Hilton, let's go into Patagonia, the Patagonia story. At a time when outdoor gear was expensive or really, really crappy, Yvon Chouinard decided that he was going to make the gear himself. He was a blacksmith from Canada, living in California, and he decided to make his own climbing gear because all he wanted to do was climb. Unfortunately for him, all his friends loved his climbing gear too, so he had to spend more time making climbing gear, less time climbing. And begrudgingly, he went into this business of Patagonia. And what was interesting about so many things that are interesting about Patagonia, but one of the things that's most interesting about Patagonia is that they decided to drive the business with their values. That is the classic Seth Godin. People like us do things like this. So Patagonia famously spends almost zero on advertising. Instead, what they do, they have these brand advocates, these brand ambassadors, people who are top of their game in climbing, surfing, outdoor adventure. And they bring these people in, and it's not like they're sponsored athletes who are just, like Shaun White, just wearing all the logos. These are people who test the wetsuits. They're the people who test the gear. And generally, they are not the most famous people. They are not the number one or number two surfers. They are just really, really cool people who align with Patagonia on values. Now, it's really interesting. I know Rick Ridgway. He's the head of sustainability at Patagonia. And he and I had a conversation after the economic meltdown of 2008 to 2012, the last great recession. Remember that one? I know, it seems novel now, doesn't it? But it was interesting because everybody had taken a massive hit. Clothing companies, worst of all, because clothing brands had become devalued. And so people at Winners or TJ Maxx or Nordstrom off the rack were buying clothes and shirts and pants by the pound, not according to what they valued. And so these clothing brands were taking a massive hit in the last recession. And I talked to Rick Ridgway about it. And I said, Rick, Patagonia, did you guys really take a beating in the recession? He goes, actually, our sales curve went like that. It went up. And I said, why is that? And he said, I think it's because people, when money was tight, they would actually start to buy less things, but buy things that they really, really valued. And there you go. Patagonia led with its values. It led with sustainability. It led with the idea of supporting people who were politically active and would test their gear and were sort of advocates and people everybody looked up to in their own sports. It didn't lead with colors or patterns or the latest this or the latest that. In fact, when I visited Patagonia, they had just launched a program where they said, you know what, if you have some gear and your gear is kind of worn out, there's some buttons missing on the shirt, don't buy a new shirt. Send us the shirt. We have all the material for every shirt ever made. We'll patch the shirt and send it back to you. That's called leading with your values, and it is completely a different business model than other clothing brands at the time and today. So thank you, Hilton, for that little reminder. The classic ad. Oh, Hilton just keeps feeding me this stuff. In the New York Times, Patagonia famously took out a full-page ad, one of the only ads that they have ever taken out. And the ad had a jacket, and the body copy or the headline read, "Don't buy this jacket." And the whole gist of it was, at Patagonia, we don't want you buying our clothes. We want you buying a little bit at a time and taking really good care of it and then keeping it forever. Now, as a matter of fact, Patagonia actually started another service, which was with, I forgot which courier company it was with, but you could actually ship your gear to Patagonia and they would take the gear and then they would resell it, fix it up and resell it for other people. So they would keep this benign loop going so that your clothes could live, in theory, live forever. It's just one of the really, really cool business model innovations that Patagonia came up with, in addition to things like the Footprint Chronicles. I'm not sure if you all know about the Footprint Chronicles, another amazing business innovation, where Patagonia tracked every single piece of its gear through every single step of manufacture, from design to sourcing to manufacture to shipping to actual delivery. And they talked about the sustainability impact at every stage. And they invited people to comment and feedback and let them know if they saw any better way of doing stuff. And please, could you let us know if you think you've got a bright idea. So anyways, that's Patagonia, and I got off track because of Hilton. Damn you, Hilton. But thank you very, very much. As you can see, though, there are oftentimes different ways of looking at a problem. So if everybody in your area is saying, you know what, you've got a 3-bladed razor, we need a 4-bladed razor, they've got a 5-bladed, let's make a 6-bladed. Stop the madness. Take a look around, just like my friends here, Jason Partridge wrote in Microcultures. Take a look around. You might be swimming in water and not even be aware of it. You're a fish, you're not even aware of the water. If you step back and go, what is water? You might take another look at the area of your business and go, is there a way of innovating that nobody has thought of? So for example, like my client started my thought process this morning, all these big buyers are not looking to buy something that is necessarily technically better. They're looking for a different way to buy it. There you go. And that's my thinking for today, as distracted and disjointed as it may appear. But there's a lot of stuff here, and I hope you think about this just a little bit. Think about your own company. Think about your own business model. Is there a way of innovating your brand that might be unexpected? All right, have yourselves a great day. And tomorrow we have an expert coming aboard at 10 o'clock. So stay tuned for that. Take care.